You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Skinner's dialed, Arvidsson's back, and Jake Walman's a top pairing defenseman. Cup year's back on. Let's get into it with the lead. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Big win for the Oilers. Let me just double check, make sure my stats are correct here. 2 wins in a row. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day, live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online, sportscloset.ca. The show, presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Tyler Lehman with you. Sherwood Ford, Giant Game Day. Oilers going for 3 wins in a row on the heels of a, Liam, I'll call it a really, really impressive victory over the Dallas Stars.
Couple of good wins in a row now.
Yeah.
I think for Edmonton. Obviously, the Dallas one bigger than what the Montreal one was because of 1, the opponent, and 2, being a Western Conference team, and 3, being a really good team. So, yeah, good to see them finally pull one out on home ice. They had that Montreal game ended a 4-game losing streak on home ice for the Oilers. So, they it's good. People pay good money to go and watch them play, and they scored a lot of goals the other day. Even let Dallas score a few more than they should have, but that's fine. People are entertained.
Already got beef with someone in the chat.
I have beef with Lance's wife. Did you see that?
Nope.
Let me find the tweet.
Oh, no, I do. Yeah, she called us idiot men or something.
I couldn't believe it.
Honestly, though.
Can't say it. Sorry, Lance.
Yeah.
Just for that, it's our only beef.
Yeah. No, my beef is with Max Brown, who says, this is the same show that said they'd rather have Alexia. Okay, can I stop you right there? Because you can go through probably every other, air quotes, mainstream Oilers show. I don't think any of them talked about Jake Walman as much as we did.
Said it on the day they got him. I've been saying it since.
Jake Walman guy right there. But, like, we talked about it multiple times, and the conclusion we continually came to, Liam, was, the Sharks aren't going to move that guy. He's got term. He's playing so good, and he's young.
And he wasn't
couldn't retain money.
They couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't. That's a good point. They couldn't retain money. All that. So we, like Jake Walman, just did not think he was able, or he was not. We didn't think he was going to be available.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he was going to be on the table. Obviously, Mario Ferraro was the San Jose Sharks defenseman that was on the list. I mean, I'm happy they got him. He was a fantastic addition. I mean, the price after what we saw on. Because the Oilers obviously got him on Thursday. What we saw on Friday with some of the tickets that were being traded back and forth. Holy moly. What a deal.
Again, the Oilers paid a late first, we'll call it, somewhere between pick 27 and 32, in all likelihood, for a year and a half of Jake Walman. The New Jersey Devils traded what's likely going to be pick 45 for 2 months of Brian Dumoulin. Hey, that's crazy.
I like Brian Dumoulin.
I don't like him that much.
I liked him for a 4th. Yeah, not double the price. But yeah. We'll get into the deadline stuff a little bit later, but looking good so far for the Oilers boys.
Looking really, really good. I like the game on Saturday night. One area, we're going to get into a whole bunch of like different sort of takeaways from that hockey game. Louie DeBrusk is going to join us in a bit as well. But I think the people who are criticizing Stuart Skinner today, and okay, first off, there is nothing I hate more, and this has happened to me a few times, but Gregor got bit with it really bad on Saturday, where Stuart Skinner makes one of the saves of the year on Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
And Gregor tweets out, like, tough night to be one of those people who's saying the Oilers never have the better goalie in the game or Skinner can't make a big save. And then immediately after, of course, Skinner gives up 3 goals.
Classic.
But the amount of people who are screenshotting it and posting it, being like, oh, look at the idiot Gregor. Okay, if you want media members to be, like, active and engaged and tweeting throughout the game and giving you platforms to have conversations, because, like, that's kind of why you do it. I tweet something, then in the comments, people go back and forth a whole bunch of times, right? You can't dunk on them for something that is correct in the moment. It's not like Gregor said Stuart Skinner is better than Jake Andre, blah, blah, whatever. Yeah. In that game, though, and actually it holds true at the end, people who are throwing Stuart Skinner's performance out there on Saturday, being like, oh, 840, again, they win in spite of him. That is absolutely not what happened in that hockey game.
No,
he made big save after big save after big save after big save, and I get that 840 is not sexy. He was the better goalie in that game. That is 100% true. If Stuart Skinner did what Jake Ottinger did on the Oilers' first goal, you were talking about this before the show.
What was he doing?
Jake Ottinger just slides into the corner and totally removes himself from the play. If Stuart Skinner did that, Twitter would be killing him. And I get Ottinger as a 907. He's a very good goalie, all of that stuff. But Stuart Skinner made 5 or 6 massive saves in the third period. And you cannot blame him on any of those goals. He faced, by my count, 12 shots that very easily could have been goals in that game. 4 of them went in. Couple of them he robbed the Stars. Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why sometimes these goalie numbers, I don't love them. Like Skinner finishing with an 840. So, well, one of them went off Ty Emerson's knee after he made the save. That's not very fair, is it? So it's obviously just a controversial position. Everyone is so dialed in on what a goaltender does from game to game. But I think overall, Skinner gave you a really good game and was a big reason why they won that hockey game on Saturday.
And the game before that against Montreal, he was a big reason why they won. So
arguably the reason they won.
Yes, if he doesn't play the way he does in overtime, they lose. So again, he's not had a good year. I'm not even justifying them not going out and getting a goalie. I think, an upgrade on Pickard, if it was out there, they should have done it. Was that out there? Who knows? But Stuart Skinner's going to be their guy here. So even if you're a Skinner hater, and I see what D. White says in the chat here, like, not a big fan of Skinner, think he's an average goalie on a great contract, so he's good in my books. And I think part of it is realizing expectations. You can sit there and say you're disappointed that in year 10 of Connor McDavid, the Oilers still haven't found a truly elite goalie. That's a fair criticism of the organization. You can also sit there and say that while going for $3.6 million, the Oilers get, I think, average goaltending. I know goals saved above expected or whatever isn't the kindest stat to Stuart Skinner. That's fair. He's had a bad year. I am not trying to sit here and gaslight or tell anyone that Stuart Skinner's been great this year. He's been bad this year. But I also think you can say that while going, there's a better goalie in there than what we've seen through 60-some games.
I think so, too. And I agree with what you're saying of they haven't found a guy in his 10th year or whatever it is, but they came into the year thinking Skinner would just be better, and he just hasn't been the consistent player.
You were hoping for him to take a step forward.
Yeah, just kind of stay where he was would also have been fine. He's just fallen down a little bit, but he does give you these moments. And December, I think he showed really promising numbers. Yeah. Hopefully this is just him kind of coming back to it. Like, the Oilers don't need a 920. We literally read off the stats. Anything over a 900, they're basically winning the hockey game. So just give him some average goaltending, which slightly above average, I guess, because they're already getting slightly average. So, yeah, then they'll be fine. But I don't mind him. I'm obviously a pro Skinner supporter. A lot of people know that, and they let me know.
Yep. Someone said you got to include Jack Campbell's buyout when doing the. Okay, honestly, even only spending $5.6 million on your goalie tending is very, very cheap when you look around the league. And guess what? They're locked in for next season too. They might be the cheapest goalie duo in the NHL next year.
Yeah, after Washington signed Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren.
Those two guys are going to be like $9 million next season.
I think so. They? Yeah.
So, all right, a couple other things I want to get to. First off, a Sherwood Ford Giant question for our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. It is a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. After all, hockey fans helping hockey fans with Nation Valet Service. They will take your vehicle to the dealership for you, do the work, and drive it right back to you. Also, right now at Sherwood Ford, you can get $500 towards a service plan just for being a Nation citizen. All you got to do, purchase the vehicle. Sherwood Ford the Giant. First impression of Jake Walman. Let's start there for our Giant question today, Liam. Listen, one game, I get it. Consistency is a thing. Consistency is a thing that's plagued lots of guys on this roster. So to sit here and anoint Jake Walman as anything after one game would be not a wise thing to do. At the same time, he played great. He got 3 shots through. I really liked his shot. The pass to Zach Hyman was awesome. He's playing the right side, looked good. 24 minutes plus 3. Again, plus minus, I think, can be used in a vacuum of a one-game sample size as an indicator of when he was on the ice, more good things happen than bad. But I thought Jake Walman was nothing short of fantastic in his debut. And there's one part of it, and I can't wait to talk to Louie about this, the breath of fresh air that is a guy like Jake Walman laying big hits and playing physically is, bang. Sit on down. And then, again, to not even back down when Jamie Benn came up to him later and wanted to give him some shots. When was the last time an Oilers defenseman did that?
It's been a long time. Max Jones, didn't he have a big hit as well? So
he did.
It's all the thing we were clamoring for. Is this team needed a bit of a different identity. And it wasn't about stripping it down, obviously, and restarting things. It was just adding a few pieces that can fill a couple of holes. And I think so far from what we've seen out of obviously Walman and Jones, and eventually we'll see it from Tredrick. Tredrick. That was accidental. they're all going to bring that physical element. There you go, Max Jones, Rantanen, just taking a couple of them. But yeah, I think overall, you've got to be pretty happy with what you saw from Walman the other day. And also, too, like, Donnell Nurse is pretty good with him.
Yep.
2 of them are solid.
Okay, super chat from our boy Lance Kane. Can we start using "you just got walled, man" when Walman lays a big hit? Sure, for you, Lance, anything. Thank you for the donation to the super chat. Ben Stelter Foundation, love the work that they do.
We are all wall men.
Can I give you a number?
Sure.
Cody Ceci and Jake Walman were on the ice at the same time for 10 minutes and 49 seconds last game.
Okay.
What do you think the shots were?
I know how many Walman was on the ice for. I guess like 10-1.
11-0.
Yeah, there you go.
When Walman and Ceci were on the ice at the same time, the Oilers outshot the Dallas Stars 11-0.
So Nurse and Walman obviously played the majority of time together. Walman was on the ice 5-on-5 for 15 shots for and 3 against. When Nurse was on the ice for 15 shots for, but 6 against. So Nurse wasn't on the ice at 5-on-5. I guess I look a little bit deeper, but wasn't on the ice at 5-on-5 for a shot for, but 3 against without Jake Walman on Saturday.
And
I think
there were some. They eased him into it. When you look at who he played against, the Stars' bottom 6 for the bulk of that hockey game. He started 80% of his shifts, 83.3% of his shifts in the offensive zone. So that's his offensive zone face-off start percentage. So, like, again, that's they eased him into it. Still, the result's very, very good. And if Jake Walman can be at that level going forward, man, the Oilers, that's a hell of a deal by Stan Bowman.
Look, like you said, you don't want to get ahead of yourself too much, but over his NHL career, he's shown a lot of consistency of being a plus-minus guy. Like, again, you can kind of take that stuff for what it's worth, but like when there's a guy who is -1 at 5-on-5 and the rest of the team is -37 without him on the ice, I think it speaks volumes to the kind of player you've got there. And look, like, the Oilers don't need a +3 from him every night by any means, and even like passes like that, like, they don't need that all the time, but like, they just need him to be a reliable player for them, which is something they've lacked in the top 4, not with Bouchard, Ekholm, and Nurse. Obviously, they've had their ups and downs too, but just like the replacement of going from Troy Stetcher or John Klingberg to Walman,
it's crazy.
It's insane. There is no comparison.
No. All right, we got a comment in here from Davin. 93, 97, and 18, the Oilers' top line. What was their shot for, shots against? They played 13-03 at 5-on-5. Shot attempts were 18-6. Shots were 9-2. Goals were 2-0. Solid. That'll get the job done. Yeah. I still do think there's maybe something with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to work on that spot a little bit. But again, after you win 2 in a row, I'm not going to sit here and really throw anything negative out there. Like, that top line was really, really good. Connor McDavid for the 3rd game in a row, because I thought he was really good against Anaheim too. Basically, since coming back home, Connor McDavid's been vintage Connor McDavid.
Must have a Douglas mattress.
He must. Sleeping like a baby. Shout out to Douglas Mattress. Let's continue along, Liam. I want to just park the talk about Saturday off to the side for a second. We'll get back into it with Louie DeBrusk, who I believe is in Buffalo, and will join us on the show in a few minutes. But for our friends at Service Credit Union, let's get to one big take. The Service Big Share Contest is back, and it's your chance to win $1 million just by saving money. Anyone can enter by becoming a member and saving with Service. Every $500 saved gets you 5 entries into the Service Big Share Contest. Contest ends April 30th, 2025. Skill test required. For rules, visit service.ca/win. Shout out to Service Credit Union. One big take is just going to be some deadline takeaways, but none bigger than the report from Ryan Rishaug on Saturday morning, and it read as follows. Rishaug, where is it? Oilers took a huge swing yesterday. Sources say Rantanen had interest in coming to Edmonton, and things were well down the path of an extension of being agreed to. Dollars were north of what Dallas signed him for. In the end, the trade assets weren't there to get it done. Also, sounds like they looked in on Raquel and Donato as well. Ultimately, I think no movement clauses and not being able to free up a roster spot probably hurt them in the Raquel Donato thing. As far as Rantanen goes, you would have been able to afford him this year, because if you could have gotten him retained for the rest of the year,
whatever it was, 2-something.
2-point-something mil, so it would have worked. I think when you look at the package Rantanen eventually went for to Dallas, Logan Stankoven, good young roster player, 2 firsts and 2 thirds. So the Oilers could have done the picks. Even with the Walman deal, they could have done their 27 and 28 first rounders, okay? Could have done the thirds or found some equivalent value. I would assume the difference here was that once Dallas said they were willing to put Stankoven on the table, Edmonton did not have a piece to equal Logan Stankoven. They probably had Savoy as the main piece going back, and that's where it fell apart. The fact that Rantanen was interested in the Oilers, not maybe a surprise. I think, we've talked about it on this show. If it would have gone to July, who knows how that would have looked?
Well, it could have been.
Yeah.
I have very, very few sources. Very few. Soy sauce is basically the only one I usually have. Mm-hmm. But I had someone tell me that this was also very close to happening
before Rashog tweeted
Before Rashog. Like, they believe that the Oilers were Rantanen's number one team if it got to July 1st, which obviously it didn't. And people seem to be a little unsure of what to do with this information. If, like, obviously, the money is something that you've got to worry about. All I would say is, like, push that to the side for a second and just think about what the Oilers were close to doing. You would have had 3 of the top 10 players in the league on your team, and they could have all played on one line. That would have been absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I understand the idea of, like, how you're going to pay this guy, that guy, whatever. You figure it out. Mm-hmm. There is a way that the Oilers could have wiggled around this and done perfectly fine for themselves. So, sucks. Cap's also going up $1 bajillion, so that's quite helpful. But yeah, that would have been awesome. But also, too, I think the big takeaway for me on this is players want to come here, and that is awesome. Obviously, we've seen it for many years, and winning and losing games obviously a big part of it. Teams and players around the league clearly think Edmonton is a destination to go win the Stanley Cup for obvious reasons. Yeah, and that's good. And that's why Mitch Marner will be signing here on July 1st.
I'm out on that idea.
I'm in on the idea of them calling him. I don't think it will actually happen, but I think they might. Hey, McDavid and him played on a line together.
They did.
They connected on the big one.
Dylan said, Tyler, can we see the front of your hat? Sure. This is from our friends at the Sports Closet. Show it at sportscloset.ca. If you think this hat is sharp, go pick one up at Sports Closet.
Eventually Mitch Marner will be an Edmonton Oiler.
Definitely, Liam. But no, I'm out on Marner. They could have made the money work. It would have taken some roster surgery this offseason where, like, Evander Kane's gone, Victor Arvidsson's gone.
See ya.
You probably have to then have a dirt cheap bottom 6, which is fine.
Tampa do it every year.
Every single year Tampa does it, yeah. So I would have loved it, obviously. The Oilers obviously didn't have the horses in a trade to make it happen, but if they would have had a piece that is somewhat equivalent to Logan Stankoven, it's not crazy to think this deal gets done, which leads me to the ultimate revisionist history or look back. If the Oilers match on Dylan Holloway, is Mikko Rantanen an Oiler right now?
Yes, the answer is 100%. If they sign him and the history repeats itself and we're back in this moment, Dylan Holloway is a better player than Logan Stankoven.
Yes.
And you probably don't even have to give up, like, maybe as many
might not have to give up those thirds, capital, let's say.
Yeah, for example. So, shout out Jeff Jackson. You continue to completely ruin our lives as Oilers fans on this roster. Absolutely disastrous guy for this whole thing. Brutal. But here we are.
It is rather upsetting to think about it like that. Like, if they match on Holloway's Rantanen and Oiler.
Yeah, it is. A guy who wanted to be here. But, hey, Dallas, enjoy Rantanen and your awesome right side defense.
I don't think Stankoven has more cachet than Holloway. I think at the beginning of the year, maybe you could have made that argument, but with the way the seasons have gone, and again, I guess another caveat to that, if I'm going to make that kind of point, and, I'm not doing it totally tongue-in-cheek, but who knows how Dylan Holloway's season would have gone in Edmonton, right? Maybe he only has 6 goals at this point because he plays fourth line, like whatever. And someone says enough with Holloway and Broberg, and we don't talk Holloway and Broberg a lot on this show, but I do think it stands out. Like, if it is true, and what Ryan Rashog says is true, that the Oilers got down the line on this thing and then the deal kind of fell apart, it's because they didn't have the horses in the trade with Carolina, and Stankoven had more value than presumably Matt Savoy. And you sit there and go, it's not a crazy line to draw. Wouldn't got the minutes of the power play time here from Klima's lid. Yeah, I agree with you. Again, that's why I kind of said you do need to remember who knows how it would have played out here. But
does Stankoven even play? Did he play much power play? I can't imagine he was on their first unit in Dallas. Either way,
yeah,
the difference isn't that much, but the the connection is you're looking at 22, 21-year-old forward with value, and Dylan Holloway has that. He's also 4 inches bigger than Logan Stankoven.
Yeah.
Which is part of just hockey, unfortunately, for smaller people.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get out to the guest line for today, which is brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Their Price Thaw event is going on right now with savings on motorcycles, boats, ATVs. If you want to get out on the water or on the dirt trails, is that what you'd say for ATVs, Liam? Probably dirt trails.
I would assume so.
Yeah,
dirt paths, the dirt road.
Yeah. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine is your spot. They're hockey fans helping hockey fans right in the heart of Sherwood Park. And March 20th to 23rd is the Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show. We're going to be doing a show live from there with Sherwood Power Sports and Marine.
Very nice.
We've done a few shows live from a boat, and they're always fun.
Remember the one time the power just went out?
Yeah, they unplugged the internet.
Shout out.
That was crazy, and I wasn't going to bring it up.
But it's a memory.
Ah, sure.
It wasn't Sherwood
okay,
Power
shout out to
Sports
Sherwood
and Marine.
Power Sports and Marine. Shout out to Louie DeBrusk, Sportsnet analyst, former NHLer, for joining us, as he does every week. Louie, how's Buffalo?
Buffalo's sunny,
Whoa.
so I can't complain. It's you know what? It's actually sunny here, and it's a nice day. It's a little brisk, but that's okay with the polar bear. And yeah, you know what? The dust has settled after the deadline, and I think, you know, when you're talking to teams, it was in the dressing room today, everyone's kind of happy that it's done, it's over with, and you know what you have till the end of the year, and it's time to get to work and have business. And I think, you know, Edmonton obviously feels that way, but Buffalo, a team that is at the bottom right now, looking up, trying to get better every day, I think they're happy that it's over with too, because whether you're the top team or the bottom team, the trade deadline affects you. You're either a buyer or a seller, but you know that there's going to be some different people in your dressing room. So I think there's a little bit of more at ease right now heading down the stretch into the playoffs.
All right, I want to start with maybe some of those new faces in the Oilers lineup. But first, Duran watches our show every day. He just dropped in a $14 donation for the Ben Stelter Foundation, and he starts his comment by saying, "I can't remember the last time the Oilers made a hit on the line like that." And watching Jake Walman absolutely nail Mikko Rantanen. I mean, Louie, we've talked a lot on this show throughout the year about, like, man, I wish the Oilers had a bit more bite, a bit more jam.
Yeah.
My first impression of Jake Walman is that not only is he going to move the puck and help the Oilers in that side of their game, he's going to play with some jam.
Some swagger, right? He even admitted it himself. He said he comes in, he has a personality, the gritty. We had him on the after hours, and there's the hit right there. I mean, that's just boom. And you know what? Textbook open ice hit, just a good closure by him. Not a dirty hit, kept his shoulder down. Rantanen popped right back up and was fine. Max Jones also popped Rantanen in that game. So Max Jones, in the limited time that he played, ran around. And I think that's the most important thing, is having guys that are hitting with intent. It's not just hitting because people say you have to hit, you have to finish a check. There's nothing wrong with a hit like that puts a big guy down on the ice and just sets the tone in a hockey game. I honestly think it was a big factor in the game. I think it was the reason Edmonton got out to the lead they got out to. Dallas, credit them. They're a high-scoring team. They came back in the game with a little bit of taking the foot off the gas by Edmonton, but they finished it off. I think Walman's first game as an Oiler, I think it's safe to say that people are going to like the way he plays the game. They might be getting him right at the right time. You know, he's having a career year. How often is it that you can make a trade at the deadline where you're getting a player that's having a breakout year offensively? And that's what Walman is doing right now. He's going to have over 40 points, so you're injecting a 40-plus point defenseman in your lineup. It's worth the pick. It's worth the trade. I mean, you're bringing in a guy that is kind of finding his game at the NHL level, is confident about his game. I was impressed with the fact that he was down low in the offensive zone right away, playing with a new system, new team. He wasn't hesitant. Obviously, that hit was another factor of it. Blocked some shots. Listen, if first games tell you a tale, which they do, I think, because you're jumping into a new environment. I think Jake Walman jumped right in, as did Max Jones in the last couple of games in limited time. So two guys that add a different dimension in the lineup and a very much needed dimension in the lineup.
You kind of mentioned and addressed off the top, just like post-trade deadline and different vibes from the team. Like that game on Saturday, the Oilers just felt so rejuvenated. And do you think that is just the impact of these new players coming in, and maybe also the relief of knowing, like, okay, I'm still here and the deadline's passed. We can just keep going now.
I think it's a combination, Liam, to be honest. I really feel, and I was talking to some of the young guys with Dallas, Maverick Bork being one of them, and he was really funny. He was very candid that he was nervous. He thought he was going to be traded. It was obviously Logan Stankoven that moved along the line, but every team goes through it. And I don't think people sometimes realize for that 2 weeks around the trade deadline and building up to it in that month, everybody's tensions are a little bit higher, whether you're a veteran player, whether you're a young player. You know that your life could possibly change in a big way, for positive or for worse. And I think that it's uncertainty. And I think it shows in the play of the players sometimes. Some people deal with it a lot better than others. Some players don't deal with it that well. So I think now that the dust is settled and the trade deadline is over, I just think that everybody kind of knows where they are. This is the roster that each team has respectively chosen to go down the stretch with. Whether you were a buyer or a seller at the deadline, like I said, you've got some new players in your lineup. And I think people just now, it's kind of, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. For the struggling teams, they see the light at the end of the tunnel saying, okay, we can get out of this season, finish hard, finish as strong as we can, and get the hell into the offseason and get to the next year. And quite frankly, that's how you feel sometimes. And for the teams that are running, trying to make the playoffs, this is the grind. This is where you have to play your best hockey down the stretch to try and get in. And for the teams that we know are going to be in the playoffs, it's about fine-tuning the game. And I think this group here has maybe one of the best internal timetables and calendars set in their DNA because of what they've done in the last 5 years. A conference final, a Stanley Cup final, and I think that the star players, and I'll start with Connor McDavid because I know we've had some conversations about him. He is, in the last few games, just right back to vintage Connor, right back to what we kind of expect him to be, how dangerous we expect him to be on the ice. It looks like he's got the puck on the string again. And I just think, you know what? It's that mindset of they know where they are. They know how many games are left. They know they have to fine-tune things, and they want to come into the playoffs flying on all cylinders. So you know what your team's going to be. They've added some players, and now it's about going to work. So I just think that at ease of knowing kind of the deadline's done, coming into the final 20 to 18 games, and knowing where you are, it just sets everybody right where they're supposed to be. And I agree with you. I think that it's kind of settled the guys in. And Edmonton's a team that when they settle and they play together, we know they can be a really good team, one of the best teams in the league.
I want to ask you a little bit more about Max Jones. I think it's a bit of a telling sign here. Like, they obviously wanted to get Jeff Skinner back in the lineup tonight for his return to Buffalo, and it's not Max Jones coming out. It's Kasperi Kapanen coming out, which again, maybe says something about how the coaching staff is viewed the first few games of Max Jones. And I don't want to get totally ahead of myself, but Liam and I do have Max Jones fever, #oil to the max. I see a little bit of Pat Maroon in him, and I'd be really curious. Like, he's got good hands. I wouldn't mind seeing him up the lineup a little bit, Louie.
Well, you know what? He was a first rounder for a reason, right? Came off that powerhouse of a London Knights team that their top line was Dvorak, Matthew Tkachuk, and Christian Dvorak, Matthew Tkachuk, and Mitch Marner. I mean, that was the powerhouse line and power play they had for that London Knights team that won the Memorial Cup in Red Deer. So, but Max Jones coming out of that year, I think there was just a lot of people that thought his ceiling was going to be really high in the NHL. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. He was on a very struggling Anaheim team. You get thrown into that environment. You're not necessarily learning the right ways to play the game. I'll be honest about that. I played on some bad teams throughout my career. And a lot of times it's a revolving door of players that are coming into the organization. You're probably playing in situations you wouldn't normally be playing in that young when you start your career. And sometimes you can develop bad habits and just a different mentality of the game. I think the reset for Jones, going to Boston, signing a 2-year deal, getting hurt in training camp, going down to Providence, and I can relate to this because it happened to me. After 6 years in Edmonton, predominantly in the NHL, I went to Tampa Bay, got hurt in training camp, got sent down to Jeff Brubaker down in San Antonio. And I remember being down there the first few days going, what's happened here? How fast did this happen that I was an NHL player and now I'm down in the American Hockey League? At that time, it was actually the International Hockey League. I better get to work here. And that's what I did. You put your nose to the grindstone, you put your hard hat on, you go out, and there's two ways it can go. And I know Max has talked about the fact that his dad was really instrumental. He was a former player, and he said, listen, this is a crossroads in your career. You can go this way or you can go this way. You would more likely want to go go work yourself back into contention of maybe getting called up to Boston, or now getting picked up by another team and having an opportunity with a better team to go into the playoffs. And I think he really does, Ty, look at this as an opportunity to play playoff games and have meaningful games down the stretch. I've heard that from many players. Jake Walman has talked about it. Max Jones has talked about it. The excitement on the anticipation of the opportunity to potentially play playoff games on a team that potentially can win the Stanley Cup does not come around that often in NHL careers for a lot of players. And it is such an event that they just get so excited for it that I think that that's what you're seeing in his play. He's desperate. He's desperate to stay in the lineup. He understands he's been around long enough to know what he has to do to be effective on the ice. And listen, his 2 games that he played, I had it up here just a second ago. I'm just doing my notes here for the game tonight. He played just under 8 minutes. He had 5 hits in the game. And listen, that's what they're looking for. They wanted size in the bottom 6. They wanted guys that could skate. They wanted guys that could go forward. I thought he made some great plays in his first game, could have easily had 3 points. So I agree with you. This is a player, and let's face it, the wingers of Edmonton have not been like lighting it up. Now, 3 of the 4 right wingers scored in the last game versus Dallas, which is a real positive. But yeah, if guys start to struggle, there's no question that he's the kind of guy that could get an opportunity up the lineup, and he's played with guys before in his career up the lineup. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's competition. It's internal competition, which is always important, and making the best of your opportunity. I think those are guys you want to bring into your organization because they're desperate. And desperate players go out there and give you their best.
Obviously, we haven't seen Trent Frederick play for Edmonton yet, but where do you kind of see him sliding into the lineup when he eventually gets healthy?
It's a good point. I kind of think they want to try him at center. I know they've talked about it, and I think they would like to try him at the center hole. You're going to see Matthias Janmark tonight dress at center with Kapanen being the healthy scratch, with Skinner getting back in the lineup. So whether it's the 3-hole or 4-hole, I believe it'll be the 3-hole for Frederick. They want to get him in that center position because he's a big guy, strong, pivot, but he can also play the wing. There's another player, again, that can go up and down your lineup. And, Frederick can play up in your top 6. He can play in your bottom 6, very versatile that way. But I think they want to try him at center. So I'm looking at that 3-hole, and I'm thinking, listen, there could be a big line there. You could put him with Jones potentially. You could have Perry up there on the right side. You could even potentially have a Podkolzin and Frederick line with maybe Perry. I mean, that's a big, strong line too. So you've got some versatility to mix and match where you want to play it. But I also think, and I think you heard Stan Bowman talk about it after his trade deadline day media avail, Freddie's the kind of guy that could step up there and make some room for a guy like Leon Draisaitl, for Connor McDavid. He's a guy that holds on to pucks, goes to the front of the net, opens up space. So there's some real options there, and I think that's what they're going to have to work out when he gets back in the lineup. He's coming off an injury that you're always a little bit uncertain how it's going to go when you come back in the lineup. It's a lower body injury. It's about movement. It's about conditioning. You can't do all that when you're struggling with a lower body injury. So he's going to take some time to get back up and running, but I guess they do have the luxury of being able to try him in a couple different spots. And I expect them to shuffle him around and try and find that right fit. But knowing Frederick and seeing him play for a long time in Boston with my son, he's going to step in there and he's going to find a spot. They're going to be able to find a spot that they like and he likes. And he's excited to be here and excited to be playing down the stretch. I talked to him the other day, and listen, it's always tough when you leave the organization that drafts you and you only know, but he's pretty excited to be with Edmonton and the likes that they have in the dressing room.
Last one, some of the fun of deadline season is, the stuff that didn't end up happening. We had the Mitch Marner thing with Toronto, him getting asked to waive, saying no, that leads to Rantanen going to Dallas. But then Rashog also dropped the bomb on Saturday about, hey, the Oilers went pretty far on the idea of acquiring Mikko Rantanen. What do you make of that rumor and the idea that the Oilers at least discussed? But can you imagine in the playoffs if they would have been down by a goal and it's all right, we're loading up Rantanen, Draisaitl, McDavid on one line? That would have been bananas.
I liked it a lot. I think if you're an Oiler fan, you're really excited about that. I like the fact they were in the conversation. I think that's just the general manager doing his job and going out there and trying to kick every tire and to see if something fits. And obviously, when there's a big fish out there, you want to be in the running for it. I think just naturally, Edmonton being where they are as an organization and as a team, I think for any top player, they're looking at it going, yeah, that'd be a fun bunch to join. No question about it. It's about making it work and making the deal. Unfortunately, it didn't get done. But I like the fact that they were in that conversation. If you look down the list of trade targets over the course of, the 3 weeks going into the deadline, Edmonton was rumored on a lot of players. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of players where Edmonton was one of the places where there was doors being knocked on and tires being kicked. And that's all you can do. You go out there and try and do the best you can. Obviously, it's a tough market and a tough world to make trades, but they can be made. And I like the fact that Stan Bowman was certainly in the hunt for Rantanen and thought he could bring in another, highly talented player. That would have given them 5 players that had over 100 points in their career. Prairies was a long time ago, but back-to-back 100-point seasons for Rantanen, obviously Connor, Leon, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. That is a loaded lineup. And they didn't get him, but you know what? I think that it's a real positive sign for things to come in the future of this team, that those are the types of deals and the types of moves they're looking to make. They're looking to get better, and not just better, they're looking to create a winner.
Maybe in 9 years, he'll be here. We just have to be patient with him, I think.
Yeah.
Who knows, Leo?
Yeah, you know what? It's the thing is too. Like, you look at the Oilers too going into the deadline, guys, and I think everybody's trying to land that big fish, right? Everybody's trying to land that big player that's going to come in and have that huge impact on your team. There's not a lot of them. They're up for grabs every year, but I think, and I haven't done the numbers, I think they got the highest producing defenseman at the trade deadline. Is there anybody that has more points than Walman that got traded? Seth Jones doesn't.
No,
around the deadline.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, they've got the highest producing defenseman with the San Jose Sharks, who also had a plus-minus pretty solid for a team that was not very good. And I think, like I said, I kind of got the feeling. I know it's a really, really small sample size, and I don't want to get out in front, but if you look at teams that eventually build and win a Stanley Cup, you've got to find guys at the right time in their careers. I think they found a guy right here that's breaking out, that's on the rise, and that's a real positive because he's still under contract for next year. So, for me, they already have the big guys in Edmonton. It's about finding the right pieces to surround them. It's about finding the right pieces to support them. That's not saying you can't bring in another star, but you're looking for the right ingredients that mix well with the guys that are already here, because they're the best of the best. And you're trying to build around that nucleus. So I thought they did pretty well, considering what they were up against, and it'll be interesting to see how they put this together down the stretch and into the playoffs.
Yeah, again, the biggest move's not always the best move. We see it deadline after deadline, and then every year we get back to the trade deadline, and everyone forgets the lesson that we learn in the playoffs every year. But when you look at the Oilers' quadrant, let's call it, of the bracket, if the playoffs started today, they would have LA in round 1, then they would have, assuming they get to round 2, one of Vegas or Minnesota. They did way more than Vegas, way more than Minnesota, and way more than the LA Kings as well. Again, I think your goal every year is just have the best path to the conference finals and then see what happens. Because we saw it last year too. Dallas got to the Western Conference final, looked like a wagon, and it turns out no, they were a little bit out of gas there. The Oilers in their quadrant, I still think are sitting in a great spot come playoff time.
I agree, and I think that Central Division, the scrap for number 1 is huge, because 2 and 3, it's going to be an absolute super heavyweight bout. And then you know what? That can take a toll on you. Now, I've always said this. I've always said if you're going to have to go through a team, you might as well go at them right away when you're your freshest, right? But that can certainly take a toll on you, a real grueling, hard series. And you know what? I'll look back to Florida. Florida 2 years ago, they took out Boston in the first round, that juggernaut of a team. But they spent so much in that physical, hard 7-game series, won it in overtime, and they had to literally chop down a giant, essentially. But they did, but it took its toll by the end of the playoffs for them. The following year, they were a little bit more methodical in their approach. They were still grinding, but they got to the final healthier, and obviously won the Stanley Cup in Game 7. So it can take a toll early rounds, and I agree with you. It's going to be a heavyweight battle in the Central, but you got to win whoever you play against, and none of them are going to be easy.
I have one really, really quick one. It's just on the lineup.
Yeah.
Ekholm and Klingberg on the road trip?
No, they are not. They are not on the road trip. From my understanding, they want to give Ekholm just from what I've heard in the conversations, and Chrissy's talked about it. I think this is a decision to give him time to fully heal. This is a guy that plays heavy, hard minutes in Ekholm, and you know what? If it was playoffs, he'd be playing. Let's just say that. I have no doubt that whatever it is he's dealing with, he would come in and he would play from what they're talking about and how they're talking about it. When you look at the schedule, though, you say to yourself, for Paul Coffey and the coaching staff, they're like, why are we continually forcing him to play and injure it just a little bit and have to work on it? Let's give him this time now to fully heal up and then make a real strong push. And for Klingberg, I'm not as clear as to what the injury was. He blocked a shot, had a scan done, and I'm not sure the results of that or what's going on there, but he's not on the trip as well. So they've got the defenseman that they have right now at hand, and obviously can make adjustments if they have to. But I think they're happy with what they have right now.
Yeah, another plus side of the Walman thing is that you can now kind of afford to rest up Ekholm and get him back to 100%. Great question, Liam.
Yeah.
Great appearance, Louie. Appreciate you popping on. Enjoy Buffalo and safe travels.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
There you go. Louie DeBrusk, Sportsnet analyst, former NHLer, joins us every week. Friend of the show. But
Great friend of the show.
Great friend of the show. Great question by the end on Ekholm as well. I mean that. That was very good. Way to get that insight.
I've got an insider now.
Yeah, you're really growing.
I got one source.
You should tweet that because that's news.
I already texted our writers.
You're
They
on
can
it?
do it.
Yeah.
I don't need that stuff.
That's
I don't, I'm not one to take all the glory.
Team guy. Louie DeBrusk, also brought to you by our friends at Roll Up the Rim and Tim Hortons, Canada. Your favorite contest is back. Roll Up to Win is on until March 23rd. Imagine turning your routine Tim's run into an unforgettable vacation with Sell-Off Vacations, a $1,000 racketing cash prize, or an all-new, all-electric 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. Even the simple joy of winning a free coffee or donut can make anyone's day. Play Roll Up the Rim on the Tim's app today. Rules apply. Canada only. No purchase necessary. We got to finish our coffees first.
It's a little cold. Okay.
Let's do it.
Dead air is good air.
We have not won yet, but some would say we're due.
Oh, bloody hell.
Nothing?
Nothing. That was a great... I'm having a good show today.
Yeah, that was
And
good.
also, just a little tease for everyone. I saw someone over the weekend, and I'll tell you later. You're not going to believe why I was around this weekend.
Yeah, that was cool.
Play again.
Lost.
Again, great roll. That was one take.
Yeah, that was really good.
Okay, on to the next one.
On to the next one, Liam. You know what? When we flashed up those standings there is a non-zero chance that Calgary catches Minnesota.
Yeah, I guess so. That wasn't what I thought you were going to say.
What were you gonna say? What did you think I was gonna say?
Well, this was more of a last night thing because obviously LA won. And the game in hand isn't ideal, but they're not that far off of the Kings either.
Nope.
This is, they're in the race here. They can't score anything. They can barely hit a barn door.
Mm-hmm.
But, my God, Edmonton, Calgary in the first round, I'm praying for it. I would love it.
Yeah.
And it's not even about having an easier opponent in the Calgary Flames. It's just about Edmonton, Calgary, and how awesome that is going to be. Oh, would be, I suppose.
Yeah.
Also, shout out Vancouver for just somehow not being good enough to pass the team that is 32nd in goals in the NHL.
It is actually
And
insane.
literally does not want to be in this position.
Their fan base is actively upset at the idea of them being in a playoff spot. Not even dead last in goals, so they have 164 on the year. San Jose is second at 171. How is Calgary 7 goals behind the next worst team when it comes to goals? It's crazy. They can't score.
They can't score.
Dream scenario is Edmonton catches Vegas. They're 4 points back, so totally possible because they have one more head-to-head game. Shout out to Nation Vacation. Calgary catches Mini, and you get Edmonton Calgary round 1. Oh, let's go.
Edmonton, yeah. I would love it so much.
Good. So good.
And also, too, Vegas, LA would be an awesome series.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good that's going to become a good rivalry if it's not getting
Yeah, I
there
think it
already.
already is,
But
yeah.
is it? Yeah. So, because remember Vegas swept LA a few years back in the playoffs, round 1, if I'm not mistaken, when they went to the final the first time in their expansion year. I'm sure they swept them, or maybe it was a 4-1 or something like that. But the West is a fun. Sorry, Aaron, to keep making popping back up. The West is fun. There actually is a race still. Obviously, St. Louis is in there as well. It's good. It's a good time of year. So what are we at now for games? 19. Wow. When do we get the magic number tweet?
Soon. I'll text Iwanek. He's the guy who does that. Okay, let's continue along with the show. Let's do our betting challenge for Bet365, Liam. As always, our game day betting challenge brought to you by the fine folks over at Bet365, where you can sign up today and use the promo code NATION. Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime winner is a barn burner, every face-off hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, every suspenseful moment in between is amazing. An official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the promo code NATION. Let's do this thing. Do we have an updated standings board?
Yes.
I think I lost again last time.
We all lost.
I'm back to negatives.
We all lost.
We are slowly running out of games here because we don't do this on the weekend. So how many more do we even have on the
What's
season?
Jay's magic number?
To get back, well, I mean, he's just got to hit like a 20-unit banger at some point here.
Yeah, and that feels unlikely.
3, 5,
But Aaron, you want to? We'll start with my bet here.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 games remaining in the betting challenge.
All right,
'Cause
14.
Only the weekday games, so I can.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, that is. There's some room there. Jay's just got to again get hot. Okay,
Get hot. Jay's got to wait for the playoff season to reset to get anywhere close to 0 again.
I'm gonna go McDavid 2 points, Hyman 3 shots, Oilers puck line plus 450. Nice and easy.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna go with puck line plus
Simple.
125.
Simple.
That number is weirdly low. No. Yeah,
Like it's a good payout.
The money line was low.
Yeah, I agree.
Only 190. I feel like this is, it's not too much, but easily a 230, minus 230 game.
Yep. Buffalo's not playing good hockey
They've
as
lost
of late.
6 in a row.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 straight in regulation, and then another 3 straight before that. It's crazy.
I like that, Liam.
Yeah. What'd Jay do today?
Everything. I'll read it out for the podcast listeners. McDavid, 2 points. Team to win most periods. Edmonton. Over 4.5 goals for the Oilers. Leon Draisaitl goal. Plus 525. Which, again, feels rather low. I feel like this should be a plus 800.
Well, especially because he had to go 5 legs. One of them's a goal scorer, which is the hardest thing to get.
And then the other one is 5 goals or more. That's a big one. When was the last time it was? Never mind.
Listen, so go back. So this
Saturday.
Jay has these 5 outcomes plus 525. Go back to my bet. I have
4 outcomes.
I have 4 outcomes. I have 3 for plus 450. One of them's a shot prop. The other one's just a simple puck line.
I guess when you go to Jay's, they kind of all
correlate.
Yeah, like if the Oilers don't score 5 goals, they're not winning the most periods.
Yeah,
you know, and you would assume if they're scoring 5, Draisaitl gets 1. You just spread it out, but he needs something to get to minus 22 units. Yeah, God,
that's crazy. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Bet365. Let's continue along with the program, Liam, as we get set for a game tonight. 5 o'clock puck drop. Whole week of early start times, by the way.
Lovely.
You know my stance on these. I love these bad boys. Yep, 5 o'clock tonight, 5:30 Thursday, 5:30 Friday. That Friday night one, that'll be great. That is a good way to head over. Oh, well, that's flight night.
Yep.
That's it's a 5:30 start on flight night. Yeah. Damn. That is crazy. Shout out to our friends at Greta. Go to Party Spot downtown Edmonton. Over $100,000 in new games added to Greta. I wanted to go check them out firsthand on Friday.
You did.
I went, looked at all the new games. There's a beer pong one where the ping pong ball gets shot up on a little air thing and then floats there. Then you grab and shoot.
Oh,
pretty cool.
Very Harry Potter like.
One of those bars you see them at carnivals where it's you have to hold on to the bar and it rotates.
Oh, and then
you
the
gotta
guy cheats.
Yeah, you gotta hang.
Hold it.
Yeah. So they got that one.
That seems like a crazy. That seems like someone's getting pantsed. Maybe you next time we go.
Friday.
Shout out to Greta. So I went. I looked at all those new games.
Okay.
And then I went and played the football game for an hour. Simple, man.
Just walked by them. Wow, these look great.
I was like, these look so cool. The guy's like, your game card's good for any of them. I'm like, yeah, I know.
We're good.
I'm gonna go play the football game. Greta Arcade Bar Street Food. And Friday night, your chance to get in on the Nation Vacation. It's Flight Night presented by Fountain Tire, all in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. $10 a ticket. $10 is a donation to the Ben Stelter Foundation. Go to nationgear.ca to get your ticket now. You walk into Greta. You have a great time with the boys on Friday night. And you have a chance to walk out of there with a trip for two to Vegas. And you know what? There actually still are a couple more trips left as well. So here's a really good idea that you and some friends do. You get your 3 best friends. You say, let's all buy tickets to Flight Night. If 2 of us win, you get a verbal commitment that you will also then buy 2 spots on the Nation Vacation. You divvy up the cost. You and your boys are all going to Vegas for dirt cheap. Boys or girls.
It's a great idea.
You need 3 friends, though. So.
Yeah,
That's
best friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you said best
need
friends.
you need 3 best friends. Do you have
Well,
it? I don't
if
know.
Lance was doing it, obviously the 3 of us would go.
Yeah, there you go, Lance.
All my buddies, I think, are coming on Friday.
All trying to win their way in.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to get, though, I feel like you need to have an alliance going in. You can't go in with a group of 6 and be like, if one of us wins, someone else is going to go. You got to pair up from the jump so there's no hard
You
feelings.
have your hierarchy. You know who's getting cut out.
Yeah.
Also, Coombsy will be pre-gaming with me for that one.
Hell yeah.
Gonna be a
Hell yeah.
good Friday night.
Should be a great Friday night.
Gotta hit his quota. Lance is in.
Lance is in. Stunner. I'm in. All right.
But you can't bring your wife. Any of you.
No wives. Should we get to our lineup report?
Yeah, let's do
All
that.
right, it's brought to you by Oodle Noodle. 10% of all Tokyo Glaze purchases this month go towards Sports Central, always supporting the community. 15 locations in the Edmonton area. Here's what the Oilers are doing with the forward group tonight. Nuge, McDavid, Hyman, Draisaitl, Podkolzin, and Arvidsson, so top 6 stays the same. Jeff Skinner draws back into the lineup.
Woo!
Jeff Skinner, revenge game, anybody? I'm stunned Jay didn't have Jeff Skinner anytime goal in his bet, but anyways. Janmark and Brown are his wingers. I actually think that's more of the 4th line. Henrique, Jones, and Perry is the 4th line. Kapanen comes out. He will be healthy scratched. I actually think this is a really interesting look into how they could handle things come playoffs.
Yeah, because Janmark comes out and Trent Frederick goes in.
And then Skinner comes out and Kane goes in. Kane,
Yeah. Oh, that's
Frederick,
interesting.
Brown, Henrique, Jones, Perry, Podkolzin. Yeah, that could honestly be the playoff lineup.
Interesting. Podkolzin is a very interesting layer in this. Played a little bit better recently, but
Yeah.
I mean, his spot definitely isn't sealed.
I also, that's actually a good point. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a world where night 1 of the playoffs, it's Draisaitl, Frederick, Arvidsson, Janmark, Kane, Brown. Or something, or maybe Janmark's flipped down or whatever. But I don't think Podkolzin's spot in the lineup night 1 of the playoffs is locked up once Frederick and Kane are healthy.
I agree, and I don't think it should be. He's had a good season, don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, he didn't score a goal last season. Now he has 6 on the year. That's really promising. So I like Pods. I think we all agree he's been solid for the Oilers, but second line winger for him. Maybe that's why Trent Frederick just goes to when he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But blue line, obviously, Walman, Bouchard. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nurse, Stetcher. Don't love that. Kulak, Emberson.
Love that.
Yeah, love that one.
I'm
Shout out
actually okay
Emberson,
with
big
this.
goal
I'm
on
okay with the
Saturday.
experiment of Walman Bouchard. Just see what it's like.
Oh, I'm fine with that. And I should preface, I understand why the pairings are like this.
Yeah.
Obviously, no Ekholm or Klingberg. If you're just tuning in, they are not on the road trip.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I could see Kulak obviously bumping up, playing with Nurse a little bit here and there, too. But, yeah, we did talk about the Walman-Bouchard pairing. When this lineup is healthy, is that your top pair? Is that what you go with?
I don't
and
think
then have
so.
Ekholm go down? I think they'll try it. I really do think they'll come back and at some point Ekholm will play a game or portions of a game with Nurse.
Really? Neither of them's been flipped, though.
Wasn't Nurse flipped? Well, I guess not necessarily flipped, but sometimes in the playoffs you just fall on if it's 2 defensemen he's played with, you just fall on the right side. So I would not be surprised just with the way the forward group has been so jiggled this season. I know Knobloch has said that I don't want to do that too much now. But with this blue line, there's a few games left. It's obviously a group of new faces in it. I could see them experimenting for a little bit. Sorry, go on. No, I'm good.
I was going to say, shall we see what the Buffalo Sabres are throwing out there tonight?
Let's see what they've got for us, all their $4 million forwards.
Yeah, Josh Norris with J.J. Paterka and Tage Thompson. That's actually not a bad top line. Ryan McLeod with Jason Zucker and Alex Tuck. Alex Tuck's actually pretty hot, 8 goals in his last 10. Peyton Krebs with Zach Benson and Jack Quinn. Jordan Greenway, the richest man alive, will play with Sam Lafferty and Beck Malenstein. It's not good in Buffalo. D pairings, Samuelson with Darlene, Byram with Jacob Bryson, Owen Power on the third pair with Connor Clifton, and the expected starter tonight for the Buffalo Sabres is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yep, not great. They've got players that I like. Hey,
Just not a team that I like. Oh, were we just back on Louie there for a second?
like that.
Checking on him.
Solid top line. Josh Norris, I would assume, second game for them? First, second game? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
I like him. There's not a lot of guys on this team, though. I love Zach Benson. He's going to be an awesome player, if he's not already. We got an extra super chat before that we missed, and I just remembered.
Oh, who was it?
It was from a gentleman or gentlewoman, I'm not sure.
Did they donate? Was it the one that donated some pounds? Euros? Which one is
It's
it?
a euro this time.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
6
goddamn.
euros from Frank. With almost Rantanen. With almost Rantanen landed by the Oilers, do you think there you go, make a push for Mitch Marner if he doesn't re-sign in Toronto? Still mad about Rantanen. Kind of talks about left up. I don't think they'll get him, but I think they'll call.
No.
I think they'll call.
He's not the kind of player they like.
I think they'll call.
Just quickly on Luukkonen, he's given up 19 goals in his last 5 starts, one of which he got yanked after 7 minutes. So
that is tough.
Yep. Not great. Not great in Buffalo. Got the no decision in that game, though. Yeah. Ugly one.
Why did they sign Jordan Greenway for $4 million?
Because they're very stupid.
Did they not realize that Brian Dumoulin went for a second and Anthony Beauvillier went for a second?
Well, also, like, you re-signed Zucker and Greenway instead of getting 2 second-round picks for them.
Yeah.
And then you could have just went into the summer and re-signed. Like, Greenways and Zuckers are so easy to find.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Greenway's on the fourth line tonight.
Crazy, bro. Okay, there you go. Keys to victory for Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more about them online at starmechanical.ca. Liam, what do you want to see the Oilers do tonight?
Win, and I want them to just control the pace of play. This is a Buffalo team. If you can get ahead of them, you should be able to kind of knock them down a couple of pegs. So I think that's the goal for me is I just come out hot and heavy. Chell also said, Oilers get beat by bad teams all the time. That is actually completely false.
Yeah, it's not true in the slightest. They actually do very well on a whole against bad
teams.
They're actually bad against good teams this year.
Yes.
The only reason they are where they are is because they've beaten up on the teams they should. And, like, I know it's just one of those things. It's like when you say, like, oh, the Oilers always lose afternoon games or, like, whatever. You just remember the losses more. Like, it's when they sit there and go 10-2 against bad teams, the 2 losses, which would have been Anaheim this last week and whatever the last one was, they sting more because you're like, God, they needed to win that game. It's so frustrating.
And even, like, Anaheim, they're a 500 team. I wouldn't consider them a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, Philadelphia was terrible. I'll give you that one. Yeah. Chill.
My key to victory was be sure-handed. Like, just don't make mistakes. Go out there and, like, you are the better team. Make plays. Be confident. Take your shots when you got them. Like, all that stuff. Just play a really nice, complete game. Okay. It is a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. Those are our keys to victory for Star Mechanical. Do we have some fast facts from our friends at Sherwood Ford? Let's hear them.
Stuart Skinner in 5 career games against the Buffalo Sabres holds a .925 save percent, going 3, 1, and 1 against them. Let's go Oilers.
Matthias Ekholm was hoping to keep his hot streak alive versus Buffalo tonight. He's got 5 points in his last 4 games against the Sabres. Let's go Oilers!
Giant Mike here. Jake Walman can also score some points. He already has 3 points in 2 games versus Buffalo this season.
Stuart.
There you go.
Damn.
Giddy up. I like the tires. That was cool. Okay, can we wrap up? Can we quickly do a what's trending? Because there's a couple things I want to talk about.
I'd love to because there's a couple things I want to talk about.
Okay, so what I want to talk about is the contracts right now in the NFL.
Okay, I haven't seen a lot.
Justin Fields is going to the Steelers.
No,
2-year
he's not.
deal.
He played for the Steelers.
Sorry, he's going to the Jets. Justin Fields is going to the Jets.
Oh, that's a good idea.
2-year deal, $30 million guaranteed, contract worth a total of $40 million.
Earned, not given.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's good.
I trust you for one season.
That's wild. Sam Darnold's going to the Seahawks.
Okay.
3 years.
That works for him.
3 years, $100.5 million.
Yeah.
$55 million guaranteed.
Earned, not given, Liam.
Yeah, Case Keenum did the same thing. Go on, who's the next one?
That is crazy, crazy money. Josh Allen also got a record extension with the Bills yesterday. Shout out to Josh Allen.
That'll be good.
And that's kind of it. The QB market's starting to get a little bit settled in the NFL.
Metcalf to the Steelers was a trade yesterday, obviously.
Yeah.
Was that a trade?
Yeah, it was.
A
Trade and
What
sign.
went back?
Second rounder?
Yeah.
That's the NFL.
And then they signed.
5-year, $150 million.
Right on.
Crazy.
Yeah, him and Pickens, what could go wrong?
Mm-hmm. What's trending?
Well, the Brier finished.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mark Kennedy, good St. Albert guy, and Ben Hebert, friend of the show.
Yep. Yeah, Team Alberta won. Bittersweet for me. Obviously, being a huge Brendan Botcher guy, Sal Sabre alumni, essentially kicked off the team before the season started. Lost in the semis to Team Jacobs. But Team Jacobs was unreal. They're a very good team. I'm happy they won. The first team in Brier history to ever win 4 elimination games.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. That is crazy. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, your last one, is it who you saw this weekend?
So, this weekend I was away in Penticton for a hockey event. You know, you're walking around the rink. All of a sudden, former WWE and UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Brock Lesnar, just standing right there. It was nuts. Brock Lesnar.
With Trish? What's his wife's name?
Staple.
Staple. There you go.
Trish Stratus. That would have been crazy.
Maybe that's a real name.
Maybe. I think he's Janet. But either way. Yeah. Crazy. Brock Lesnar. I couldn't believe it. His son plays for one of the teams. Great hockey player. Probably get drafted into the Western League this year.
Sweet.
But yeah, Brock Lesnar. And
you
also
got to try sign his kid.
100%. 100%. Just seemed like a regular Joe. Chatting with the parents, like, you know, sometimes, like, I've never seen anyone to the caliber of Brock Lesnar, but like, you'll see, like, former NHLers or something like that. They'll just stand on their own in the corner and, like, not talk to anyone, go out the back door. Lesnar's in the lobby with the parents, sipping on Timmy's, just, like, sat amongst everyone.
He's rolling up the rim.
He is rolling up the rim. Pretty cool guy. He seemed like a pretty cool, down-to-earth guy. So that was, honestly, I was amazed. I was stunned. Didn't take a picture because he was watching his kid. Didn't want to interrupt him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah,
and you're a scout.
And I attack professional. Yes, good guy though. Seemed like I don't know. Didn't tell him. Massive, huge dude.
Yeah, that's
Sable's
crazy.
real name is Raina.
Maybe a middle
Raina,
name is
Trish.
Janet.
Same.
Yeah, but pretty sweet. Pretty sweet to see him. Also, the Oilers' record in afternoon games this season. This feels wrong, but from StatMoves, I feel like they haven't played this many. No, they definitely haven't. That is just games this season. Carry on.
Shout out to Giant Mike, who said, I had a similar experience, except I saw Mike Tyson in an airport in Beijing. Shout out to Giant Mike, who was in the video you just watched from Sherwood Ford the Giant. Got a picture. Oh, he did get a picture of them, though. All right. That's a wrap. Oilers are going to smoke them tonight.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Who's that guy in our chat who used to comment every game day? Racks on racks, smoking on that Sabres pack. That's the Oil tonight. They're smoking on that Sabres pack. Shout out to Louie DeBrusk. He was great. Tomorrow, Devin Dubnyk. Chat with him a little bit. Yeah, giddy up. Should be a fun week on the show. Trade deadline behind us. Oilers heater incoming. Thanks to everybody in the YouTube. You were fantastic as always. YouTube chat brought to you by Odd Company Brewing and the all-new Nation Beer Everyday Lager. I had a collection of those in my system this weekend, and I have no regrets because they're delicious and they go down very smooth. Find them by going to liquorconnect.com, typing in Nation Beer, find a liquor store near you. That is a wrap. Everybody enjoy the hockey game tonight. We'll be back tomorrow noon Mountain Time. Oil up.